It's really common when you get into something new that once you start actually either watching it or consuming this new thing, it could be a new sport, it could be a new type of music, a new TV show, movie series, whatever. It's pretty common that once you start to get into something new, that you will reach out. Nowadays, you'll go online and look for sources that talk about it, content creators or people who analyze it, people who go back and do retrospectives. It's something that nowadays we have that benefit of being able to do because at this point, to be completely honest, content creators are a dime a dozen. There is always someone making content about something. I feel like there's nothing out there at this point that doesn't have a YouTube series breaking down how it started, where it is now, and where it's going. Now, for me personally, I've watched content creators like this for years now. I'm a big hockey fan, football fan, and I have channels that I watch pretty regularly, either for analysis, breaking down previous weeks, and most recently getting into things like reactions. This could be the live reactions where you're watching along with them, or where you're watching afterwards, a side-by-side of them reacting to something that happened earlier in the night. Now, this exists in the wrestling space a lot. There's a lot of people doing it now. I feel like if you look back, apparently this has only picked up heavily in the last few years now that wrestling has kind of gotten its mojo back and it's gotten more momentum. I mean, this channel's only a few months old at this point. But pro wrestling content creators are a bit different. Now, I don't mean they really make different content. If anything, it's almost identical to someone doing the same thing in football, hockey, baseball, movies, whatever. You have your same categories. You might have somebody making tier lists or doing hot takes and communicating with your audience. You could have someone that you watch for reactions, either while you're watching along with them or after the fact. And one of my personal favorites is people who make essays, like essay style videos of long topics that are about the thing that I'm interested in. Now, those creators might not only do those types of content, but we as a viewer have something that we usually prefer and our favorite thing that a creator does. So you might go to a certain creator for certain things. For instance, for this channel, you might only watch when I talk about AEW stuff and you just skip all the WWE stuff and vice versa. We have things that we prefer from all of our creators, and that's the same for sports creators. So what's different? Why does the pro wrestling community, in terms of its creators and their importance, why does it feel different than the football ones, for example? I think it's a really simple answer. And those of you who are football fans, baseball fans, fans of any other sport, ask yourself, when you were growing up, was there any part of you that was embarrassed to tell someone that you were a football fan? Was there anybody that you didn't want to tell that you watched hockey? Did you have to sneakily watch baseball so that your parents didn't know you were watching? Did you have to hide any of your hockey memorabilia or hockey cards when friends were coming over so they wouldn't know that you were a fan? The answer is almost certainly absolutely not. Something that I have learned over the last few months, and I've only been watching wrestling for about a year and a half now, and it's only been in the last few months that I've truly gotten a grasp after talking to so many different wrestling fans, this expression that when you were growing up, it might even still be like this today. I'm actually not sure. I'd be curious if there's anyone that might be younger in the audience that can attest to this. But I've heard so many stories where there was this stigma and you didn't want to tell anyone that you watched pro wrestling. Now, that might not apply for everybody, but there has been a lot of different people who have told me that they would get so sick of the reaction they would get from saying that they were a pro wrestling fan that it just wasn't worth expressing it. It was just better to keep it to yourself. This isn't an issue that you have being a football fan because it's normalized and it's huge. Football is a household sport. Everybody knows about football. But with pro wrestling, you grew up with a massive portion of the fan base, it seems, that just didn't have anyone to share this with. And that's where the difference with pro wrestling content creators and pro wrestling communities, for that matter, comes into play. What I've noticed as we've started to build our wrestling community over here, it is so nice to be able to use the future and use the internet to gather friends from all around the world to watch wrestling and have someone to discuss with. And these content creators, especially the ones that watch live, I think that's a very big contributor. The ones that stream themselves, I've done it a few times, but there are ones that are much more well known for streaming themselves watching live so that their whole community and their whole chat can react to the show and talk together. This is common with other sports as well, but it hits different with pro wrestling because a lot of those people that are in that chat may have grown up not having someone to share it with. There's a clip that I've seen a few times, and it's one of my favorite pro wrestling content creator clips that I've seen since I've been watching. You may have heard of the creator Santi Zap. He's an up-and-comer in this space. There's a clip of him watching WrestleMania 40, I believe, and I think it was after the main event of night 2, and you can see him get emotional, and he talks about how he's so thankful that he was able to just watch that with thousands of people, because he remembers sitting in his room or sitting wherever watching by himself, watching WrestleManias that he was so passionate about and having no one to share that with, no one to express that joy with. And I've thought about this kind of a video ever since I've seen that clip back at WrestleMania 40. I've thought about how blessed not only he must feel, but his community, everybody that has found where they want to watch with others, complete strangers, but with a common thing that they love, to be able to finally watch that with someone and react with it and get excited and just look over, did you see that? Oh my God, that was amazing, and have a ton of people to do it with. I think people who don't watch pro wrestling and only consume that type of content for other genres, other sports, I don't think that they can truly grasp how meaningful it is to be able to do that, because they've been able to do it most likely their entire life. They were probably able to watch football with family or friends, Super Bowl parties. I mean, I never heard of WrestleMania parties, and I'm sure some of you might say that you had some, and you were very fortunate compared to a lot of the stories that I've heard about people watching wrestling just by themselves, like or buying it on DVD a few months later, and it was still only just shared just with themselves. And while I can't say I experienced that myself growing up, I can empathize with that. I can put myself in that situation as someone who grew up mostly as an only child, understanding what it's like to enjoy all these different things and not really having someone to immediately share it with. And I can only imagine how good it feels to grow up where the future is here and you're able to share that with millions of people across the world. It makes me really thankful for this community that we're building, and I invite you to join it as well. You can be an AEW fan, WWE fan, or anything. Join the Discord. I love just sitting in the chat and watching it with you guys. I'll be sitting on my couch and I'll just hold my phone up and I'll see our chat in the Discord as I'm watching SmackDown that week, or I'm watching Dynamite. It's even if I'm not typing in it, I'm always watching it, and it's fun to see just the same group of people get to talk and watch at the same time. And I just really wanted to make this video, I guess, as a quick appreciation that we can even do that. And I'm thankful and happy for you guys. I'm happy for the people that I've spoken to, and it's been dozens and dozens of people that I have spoken to and I have heard from different platforms or in person about how thankful they are, not for my community, but just the fact that they can do that at all online and be able to share this with someone. But if you are interested in joining the community that we are building, the Discord link will be down below, and you can also join the Patreon. Like I mentioned earlier, I am a newer wrestling fan. I've gotten into it since WrestleMania 39, and now we do watch parties of a bunch of old matches and documentaries over on the Patreon. So I invite you to check out the Patreon as well. There is free content there, and you can see if you like it, and you can always upgrade if you decide you want more. But those of you who are already over there in the Discord or in the Patreon or wherever, I am really enjoying this ride of learning wrestling with a bunch of people who've been watching it their entire life. And I'm very grateful, and I'm very happy that you guys also get to pick a community and be a part of multiple communities compared to just having to watch it by yourself when you were growing up. I'm thankful that we have this. But that's all for today. I really am appreciative of everybody for watching this video. Feel free to discuss down below. I'll see you guys over in the Discord, the Patreon, or wherever. Thank you so much to the patrons that are flying up the screen. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.